to read it so many times. I'm reading it backwards now.
I think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He
if you
doesn't.
want to do
It's
any
just
videos
a
with
fact.
me-
It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field right now, right?
There is no easy way to get anything ever.
This is Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Today is a great day. It's Saturday, and we're going to be talking about finishing strong today. So, it's exciting. We sat down, and Brian's microphone needed some adjustments here. So, what I'm going to do... Oh, Brian, dude, you got another chair.
Yeah, I could just sit in Joey's seat.
Do you know how to cut to yourself, or like,
Yeah.
are you... Can he cut to himself, do you think?
Sure.
Guys,
Do you think
come
he's
on.
capable?
I'm already cutting myself right now. Look at that.
Brian.
Hey, guys.
Wow.
This is Joey's. Man, there's so much going on here. There's a lot of
Do you
really
feel-
cool tech.
Do you feel powerful over
I
there?
do feel pretty powerful over here. Yeah, I got a lot of control. Back to you.
You look good over there.
Thanks.
Let me see how you look in Joey Light.
Wow, Joey Light is just very flattering.
It
It's
is.
very flattering.
It's not an accident.
And I mean, there's some Joey headphones here too. I think like this is just a Joey world.
Some
over
Joey
here.
Chewy bars. All right, bro. We got to start off with a daily devotional. Since you switched over there, I was worried you weren't going to be able to do it. Do you have a paper or no?
Yeah, I got one right here. Yeah,
You mind hitting us up with some daily devotional?
let's do it.
All right.
So our first one here today is 2 Chronicles 15:7. It says, "But as for you, be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded." I'm gonna read that one more time. So that's, "But as for you, be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded." Boom. And that goes right into finish strong, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, and who are they talking to?
In this exact verse,
Yeah, but as for you, who's you?
I think you would be specifically just like the person who's becoming weary, probably in this situation. Yeah.
I think it's you, Brian. I think they're talking to you.
To Brian Sweeney.
Yeah,
What makes you think that?
because it says you. It says, but as for you.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
I think they're talking to me too, directly to me. See what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
I feel like God's saying, whoever's reading this right now, as for you, which is all of us, but it's only all of us if we're reading this, right? But as for you, be strong and do not give up.
Yeah.
How many times you wanted to give up in life?
Like 10 billion.
10 billion, probably.
Yeah.
Me too, dude. Me too. I mention this a lot. It's I don't think there's any person out there that hasn't struggled with the truth of wanting to give up. You know, as a business owner, I know that there's these times that it feels like, why am I doing this? Or am I capable of doing this? You know, should I keep doing this?
Yeah.
Why do I put myself through all this torture? You know, but I know the same thing goes for anybody working in any business or any job. The same thing. You're like, oh, you know what? I just want to give up. You
Yeah.
know, or this project or this homework assignment. I know there's been so many times where when I was growing up that, you know, I wanted to give up or even did give up where like good was enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. you know you're capable of like so much more, but you just go with the bare minimum for sure.
But as for who?
For me
For you.
and for you out there. That's why it's your daily devotional also.
Yeah. But as for you, be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded. So the reward is going to come from not giving up. The reward is going to come from the other side of being strong. And there's no doubt that's tough. This is not the easy road. This is the hard road. But that's good stuff. All right, we do have another Bible verse, Brian. It is James 1:4. I'll go ahead and read this one. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. James 1:4. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. This is an interesting one. I saw you put this one down. Talk to me about what really got you excited about this verse this morning.
So you turn me on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Got him.
So the idea of one thing sort of leading to the, I really like verses and things where it shows like what one thing to do and what ends up happening at the end of that.
Okay.
Where it's like, because if you go into the idea of quitting, it becomes so much easier. It's still challenging, but to finish something and complete something when you know like what's waiting for you on the other side, right? When you know what's happening. So this verse I really like because it says, let perseverance finish its work, so that, and anytime there's one of those, I really like to hear it, is so that you may be mature, complete, not lacking anything.
It's interesting though what you get. You know, the last one said reward.
Mm-hmm.
This one doesn't say you're going to get a reward. This
Right.
one doesn't say you win.
Yeah.
So what do you get?
You get what you get.
maturity, you get growth.
Yeah,
basically.
Well, maturity. Yeah, maturity. Like understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You get you get. It says complete. So, you know, there's something that happens when you finish something.
Yeah.
Like when you get to the end, that you feel complete.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to definitely be talking about this today, so that's why I love that you grabbed that one, because it's like we're constantly trying to get away from the reward mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we believe that if you live in this particular way and you think this particular way, that you will have more rewards than you ever thought possible.
Yeah.
But it's not about focusing on that.
Right.
Right? And here it's saying that you may be mature and complete. Like you may understand. Like, what does it mean to be mature in your mind? What do you think?
Just I guess somebody who's like respectful, somebody who has like an understanding under their belt, and is like I guess just like grown. You know.
What
Like
about
they've
you,
grown in
Joey?
themselves.
You're on the edge of you know, transitioning from childhood to being a man. What does it mean to be mature? Like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Because there's a thought process. I think there's a mental shift that happens, and you become more mature. And if you're honest with yourself, all of us, we all have maturing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think maturity, like getting mature, being mature in faith, in life, it's different for each asset, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting mature in this. I'm getting mature in this. I'm getting mature in this. You know, but it's not like this big overwhelming.
Like, for instance, you
Like-
meant to say aspect, not asset.
Huh?
Like, for each aspect of life.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you accidentally said asset.
Oh, cool.
Which is like something that you have, like so one of your assets, like your car, your house, or whatever.
Cool. Thanks for bringing that up. I think that was an important point.
Well, no, actually, my point was you said one thing, you meant another. But as you're maturing, honestly, you're learning and developing in your language truthfully.
Yeah.
Like that I actually said it to lift you up because your vocabulary has already in the last couple of years like multiplied
Sure. Yeah.
100 times over.
Yeah.
And how many times do we hit that moment? And let's again talking about maturity. Even me bringing this up 6 months ago, no offense, would have derailed you because you weren't mature enough to handle it.
Yeah.
And now hopefully you've matured to the place where you're going, oh, if I said a word wrong, not only does it not offend me if you correct it, because like other people probably heard it too, but I want to know the truth. I don't want to repeat the same wrong word twice. Like that's a mature perspective to have. Yeah?
Yeah, totally. That's what I was saying is like it's different for every compartment of your life, right? But I think that the idea of like all-encompassing maturity, that comes from understanding life better,
Yes.
right? Understanding that other people are not out to get you, even though sometimes it feels like that. You know, it goes back to, we talked to this a bunch on the show, but about, 99% of the time, whatever is going on isn't about you, but we want to make it about us. Well, that's selfish, and it throws you into a pit because then you're like, I'm in the middle of this, like, I don't know why they're doing that to me. And it's like, no, they're just struggling
Right.
to make ends meet, and you happen to be the person that was in the way at the moment
Right.
when they exploded.
Yeah.
You hold it back, you hold it back, you hold it back. Eventually, you're going to explode, and most of the time, it's going to be on somebody you don't want to explode on, somebody
Right.
you really love, right? So it goes back to that idea of, I think, understanding life better, understanding people better, understanding how to have a conversation better, right? And that's one thing that the new generation has lost a little bit, is being able to have a conversation with one another.
Yeah, or they've either lost it or they haven't found it yet.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Because what's one thing, or not one thing. Okay, just let me just ask you guys this: when you're young, and really anytime, but when you're young, how much, Brian? You were doing the old Brian look. You're back. Brian was like.
I was like,
He was
dude,
on
I'm
it.
like on edge.
You were getting, I know exactly. You were worried that I was gonna throw something at you.
No, I was excited.
Yeah,
This is
no,
like
he was on his phone,
I know.
like about to do
I
a
know.
social video.
I know.
Think.
You can do a social
then he was
video.
like,
It's
No, I
okay.
want to hear this first.
He's gonna go to me. Oh no! Oh
know.
no! I tried to even give a subtle hint that like, hey, I'll go first. you
Yeah,
know?
right.
I was like, yeah.
Okay, so and this isn't even something thrown at you guys. You're probably just gonna agree immediately. But one of the things that we take the most offense to, I feel like, is when someone's like, "You're so immature."
I agree
Oh yeah,
immediately.
100%.
Right? There's something you just want to be like, what? And what's funny is if you are immature, that's how you're gonna react to hearing that.
Yeah,
So by you reacting like that, it's just confirmation that you are super immature. Right?
facts. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Joey, what is something that I'm not good at, but maybe that I know something about, but I'm not good at? Can you think of something?
Yeah. I'm trying to. I had something. Oh, letting, you helping other people, but then letting if they have a negative reaction towards it, or they're being rude or pushing you off or taking things for granted, like that gets under your skin pretty quick, which is tough as a coach.
So releasing, so maybe like releasing and not carrying other people's baggage
Exactly.
is something that I'm still not great at.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what you could say to me is, in that area, Matt, you are immature,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I would need to be able to take that and agree with it, and listen to it and go, okay, like how can I grow in that area, and And if I want to,
Yeah.
you know, whatever it is, I would have to want to grow in that area. You know,
But either way, you're thankful for the truth, like
Right.
you said. Yeah.
like you've actually played quite a bit of basketball, and I would say you're still an immature basketball player, but that you've matured like tenfold what you were a couple years ago.
No, 100%.
But as far as basketball IQ is concerned, you're still immature, but you're learning and learning and learning, and you're a sponge. Anytime we get on the court, you always want to hear like new ideas and tricks and strategies and why particular things are the way that they are.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's funny because that's exactly right. Like I was playing with our cousins, and they're all better than me, but I tended to win the most games after like working with you. Why? Because, you know, I just told whoever was on my team, I'm not good, but I'll get you the ball.
Yeah.
And if I'm open, I'll shoot, and I'll probably make it.
And see, and that makes you so even though your skill set is where it is, that attitude toward the game makes you both mature and complete. Therefore, you lack nothing in the game because you are what you are. Whereas where it used to be, because you weren't good or you were feeling insecure, what do a lot of players do? They grab it and they'll just shoot.
Yeah.
Or they'll panic or something, right? And then all of a sudden, that comes to light more. Whereas if I'm already telling you the way that it is, and I fit my position well, then people respect you.
Yeah.
You know, it happened to me all the time with pickup games. I would go and I'd play with players that are way better than me, players that are like college level that could jump out the gym, and I was this like little scrawny kid, and a lot of times they would be like 5-10 years older than me, and I'd go out there and get on the court. Well, I would have two goals in mind. I'd be like, okay, don't screw it up, like you know, set other people up for success. Don't be selfish. And do the little things that make these other guys better.
Yeah.
So I would just be annoying on defense. You know, I would look for, is there a way that I can go steal a rebound? You know, and then get it to the guy, get it out of my hands quickly. Because the truth is, 4 out of 5 guys on the other team could steal the ball from me.
Yeah.
Because they were that much better than me. Therefore, it's not in my best interest to try to dribble it up the court to try to prove that I can get around them, because the truth is they're just going to take the ball probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and if I were trying to prove myself, that would be me being immature. But the mature basketball player is going to know where they fit in the team, where they fit in this particular game, and then play to their strengths.
Totally.
And then that's why having that attitude, Joey's going to win the game 9 times out of 10, because he's not trying to do more than what he can do. And I'm sure you saw this in your game, Joey. But for me, what would happen during those games is, by being the unselfish player, by being that complete player that's like grab it, pass, you know, move, all of a sudden the guys could see, oh, he's got a decent basketball IQ.
Yeah.
And these strangers then within say 15 minutes would then, guess what? Start passing it back. You know, you can always feel the guy who's like the leader on the team, or the person who's got the alpha, skill set. All of a sudden would be like, he'd kick it, somebody else would pass it back to me around the horn, and you'd hear him go ahead, shoot it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, boom, and then you make it. And then all of a sudden he looks at you and he's like, all right, now I know I can trust you in that position. But guess what? That doesn't mean shoot every time you get the ball.
Yeah.
Right? And again, that's like the difference between mature and immature.
Well, and it goes back to listening on the court, right? So, you know, if I hear my teammate now say shoot it, I don't second guess them.
Yeah.
I just jump. And then I take the shot. And if it's a brick, it's a brick, and I go get the rebound. But if they say shoot it, I just trust that they see something I don't, and I'm like, cool, I'm gonna just jump. I'm not gonna look around, because in the second it takes me to look around, somebody's on me. Yeah. So if they say shoot, I'm just gonna pull up. You know.
Nice. All right, so this idea of finishing strong, it's something that that maybe we take for granted a lot of times in life. And we don't realize how powerful this is to finish a game, to finish a project, to finish a day. And so we're going to talk about that today. The first segment's going to be a feel-good segment. It's like,
Feel good.
ooh, it really does. It feels so good to finish strong. We're going to talk about that, the positive side of finishing strong. And then in the second segment, we're going to talk about just the mental strain and how much of a mental drain it can be to do that extra rep when you're working out and you're at the very end. Can you push through? Can you just do one more repetition with all your strength? So we're going to talk about that, and then lastly, we want to talk about this idea of finishing strong is something that will provide a good last and lasting impression, which is so very important for you to be successful in life. So we've got a great show for you. It's packed. We'll see you right back after these messages.
Monica Fogelson, and wrapping up this masterclass session, it was my first one, and I just have so much gratitude, like more than I can even express. Like, I have gratitude for the teachers, I have gratitude for this whole studio, for the students in the class, for my scene partner, for Matt, and the craft itself, which I just was able to see so beautifully and so raw and vulnerable in not just myself, but everybody else. And it just has been such an amazing experience. And I'm so grateful and excited for everything to come.
It's Chaos Comedy Live with Nick Mulata, Corinne Freeze, Isabel Ramirez, Dakota George, Truman Hendricks, Astrid Gabriel, Saya Luke, and Vicky Sweeney. Live from Phoenix, Arizona, it's Saturday night.
The thing is, people attract what they put out there. So the fact that you're generous in that way, you will receive it back in extraordinary measures in ways that you wouldn't imagine. And sometimes you give in one way and you get back in love, and not even from the people you gave to. It's like comes from another channel, you know. And so that's just the law of life. So you're on the right track.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And I've heard that a lot of people sometimes are like, oh, I kind of do this, and then good karma will come my way. And I'm like, I don't care about good karma.
It's not about that.
Yeah,
not,
I want to do this because I want to help you.
That's right.
I literally don't want you to give me anything back. I'm doing this because I'm like, just let me help you, and then help you, and then just like I don't even expect a thanks or like a high five or anything. I'm just like, cool, man, as long as you're good at the end of the day.
You can't expect anything.
Exactly.
Back. Yeah. If you do, you don't get it.
Alrighty, welcome back. First segment here is boy, oh boy, does that finish line feel good?
Woo!
And the picture that I got in my mind for this was the end of a great performance, especially at something long like a play, and you get to the end and it's like, whoa, I'm exhausted, but that felt so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember feeling that when we did The Lonesome West. Like, there was this just like feeling. It like felt amazing.
And truthfully, even during that run, which was a short run for us, but during the run of the play, there was a night that felt the best, and there were other nights that didn't feel as good. maybe for each of us individually or for all of us as a team. And the reason was probably on the days that it didn't feel as good, we probably lost our concentration a little bit and therefore didn't stay completely connected so that we weren't able to finish as strong as we had on the night that it did feel really great. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
The other great picture here is a runner who's running any kind of long distance. And you know that like the tape or whatever, the rope that they run through?
Yeah.
And they put their chest forward and they hit the finish line there.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of finishing strong there at the end and hitting that rope. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like it. It feels so good.
Yeah, and in that sport too, there's like this. You go in like 3 miles, right? Because I used to do like cross country, which isn't as long, but it's like 3 miles or so. And then when you're in the last like 100 yards or so, that's exactly it. It's like you sprint. So you've been like going at a good pace throughout, and then you get to the last little bit, and you put every little bit of what you got into that last few moments.
As a matter of fact, I ran cross country as well, and I think that's one of the places that I learned this life lesson of going harder at the end. Going harder when you think you've got nothing left, because the interesting thing is you think you've got nothing left, and the guy next to you thinks that he's got nothing left. And the question is, who's right?
Yeah.
You know? And as you see the guy next to you and you're like thinking to yourself, when is this jerk going to slow down? But then you remember he's thinking the same thing about you.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
And it's like the person that's going to win is the person that's basically willing to throw up that they're ready to run so hard. And so you're at the end of, let's say, a 3 mile or a 6 mile or however long some of these cross countries are, and you get toward the end, and you know you're toward the end, and it's like the person who wins or is going to win for their position, because honestly, there's also athletes in every sport, and cross country is no different. So I was like a number 3 runner. So there was like the number 1 guy who was also a freshman, and he was going to win for our team every time. He had longer strides than I did. He was a better runner. This is my first time ever running, so I didn't really even know what I was doing. But he was supposed to be out front. Well, I needed to win the 3rd position. That was sort of like the idea, right? And it's not like I wasn't allowed to get second, but that's kind of was my pecking order. So if I'm there in like the number 3 spot someplace, ideally our team is going to take 1st, 2nd, 3rd, right? We're going to win all. So I'm in that bunch. Well, so I'm surrounded by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like positions, no matter what team they're on. And the idea is you get to this turn and you know that there's about a half mile left, and you kick on the jets.
Yep.
And you run, like you said, you sprint. And everyone's going like, who's going to give up? And people do.
Yeah.
People start dying off.
Yep, yeah.
And if you can just hold on, it's like holding on like to a bar or something. Like, what do you do when you're holding on to a bar and it's a competition, like 2 kids, right? Whoever can hold on the longest. The person that's usually going to win is the person that can calm their face and make it look like it's not hard.
Right, yeah.
Even though they're dying.
Even though they're dying.
And they're just going like, I could go here all day. And the other person's like, oh my gosh, he looks so calm. Like he's never going to drop. Oh, I give up, you know? But truthfully, the other guy was going to give up too.
Yeah.
He just didn't show it on his face.
Right.
All right, so we got a quote here. Many will start fast, few will finish strong. That is Gary Ryan Blair said that. Many will start fast, few will finish strong. This idea of finishing strong is something we talk about a lot around here. It is difficult to do. But the idea is like, you know, it all comes back to like quitting, right? So you can fail often. You just can't quit.
Right.
You've got to finish strong to the end. And, you know, for instance, I'm really proud of one of our students, Saya Luke. She's a chaos comedy player, by the way. She's going to be performing tonight. And she created a student film or a short film, I should say, and it was pretty good. She sent it to me. I watched it. I told her I would critique it. You know, I was like, I'm offering my time up to critique it. So I've already watched it. That was a good, 15 minutes of my time. And now I'm going to sit down with her and actually break it down. It'll probably take another half hour or whatever. I'm just doing that for free. Why? Because she finished.
Yeah.
Because she finished. Had she started it and not finished it, I'm not gonna waste my time. There's no way. There's no way I'm gonna donate my time to somebody that's not finishing their project. But she got to the end. Is she like happy with all of it? She's not. And I told her that. I was like, your goal is not to be happy with the project. Your goal is not to do a perfect project. Your goal is to finish the project to the end. And if you do that, then you can learn from it on the next one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And she did super well at even just within that, like asking people for stuff, and like just pushing it forward and, like you said, making stuff happen. I mean, she ended up, even though my mom was sick, she got her to film in bashes, and that's like, I mean, it doesn't like sound like as big as you'd think, but it's a big deal.
Of course.
Like it's a big deal. Like she used up this favor, whatever, like, and it was purely because of, I think, her initiative, and willingness to go out and ask. And I think sometimes there's the fear of doing, like whether or not someone will follow through, and she proved that she's someone who will. So, like, if there's another opportunity, I'm sure that my mom or whoever, we would, like, be extra, like, willing to do something for them because we know she's proven herself,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, same deal. She used the parking lot here for one of the scenes.
Yeah.
Because she needed a car scene, and she was like, hey, guys, can I use the parking lot? And we were like, yeah, why not? We're here.
Yeah. Well, and this is funny too. I remember that day, and her crew was outside, and this one guy was like an AD or something, and I needed to back out and leave, and I mentioned to the guy, hey, could you move the extension cable out of the way? I don't want to run it over with my car. And so he runs and tells another guy. The other guy comes over and he's like, "Oh yeah, you can just back up. It's okay. Just you can just back right over it." And I was like, "No, I'd prefer not. If you could just move it real quick, that'd be great." Basically, it was just pick up the cord, move it over, right? Well, the easier thing to do was to just leave it there and have me run it over. The harder thing, take an extra 30 seconds, is to pick it up and move it so that my car doesn't run it over. But what's funny is, in his mind, he's like, oh, it's okay. You can just run over the cord. Like, the cord will be fine. And in my mind, he didn't know this. He didn't know who I was. But in my mind, I'm going, yeah, well, that's my cord. So, of course, you don't care.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? I agree with you. The cord will be fine if I run over it once, but I don't want to I don't want it to be run over. I want to set the standard that
Don't run over
we
the
take
cord.
care of the cord that we have outside.
Yeah. I was about to say, I bet it wasn't his cord.
Well, exactly. And whether it was the director's cord or Saya's cord or my cord, but the point is, that person wasn't willing to finish strong because why? Because it wasn't theirs.
Right.
And that's the key to success. That's the key to moving forward in life, is to treat things as if they're yours. I've taught you guys that since day one. We treat this building like we own it. Even though we don't own it, we treat it like we own it. We treat outside like we own the parking lot. And you guys catch me all the time. If I see trash, I pick it up.
Yep.
It's not my trash. I didn't do the trash. It's not my fault. Who cares? Pick it up. Like, pick up the trash. It needs to look good when people come here. It look as good as it can look. It's not the Taj Mahal, but it doesn't need to have trash out front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, how many times have you emailed and been like, yeah, you need to turn our lights on 30 minutes earlier because it's Arizona and the sun goes down at different times,
Right.
That
'Cause
wasn't
you're like,
happening
yeah,
a lot
we don't need a dark parking lot.
Right.
But
Yeah.
a lot of people are just like, yeah, it'll fix it eventually. And you're like, nope, send an email right now. Sent.
All right, so let's finish this topic, this segment here, with another quote here. It says, when we make progress quickly, it feeds our emotions. And we've talked about emotions and the danger of those. When we make progress quickly, it feeds our emotions. Then, when there's a period of waiting or we hit a plateau, we find out how committed we really are and whether we're going to see things through to the finish or quit. And that's Joyce Meyer who said that. Joyce Meyer, who's very well known.
So good.
And so this point right here is the idea of and we've seen it so many times. We see it happen. We can see it a mile away, and there's nothing you can do for these people. But they want something new, something fast, something shiny all the time. You know, and it's so hard to sit and wait and let something mature. Let yourself really like dig in and not just give in to the next like easiest thing, fastest thing. And, you know, and again, Joey was talking about this next generation of people, the idea, and I taught him this early on, the idea of popping around from job to job to job to job, it does not pay off. But that became like the millennial like anthem, which was like, you know, who's going to give me the best benefits? I'm moving. You know, if my boss is not nice to me, cancel him. I'm going to the next business. And over time, that attitude really hurts you because all of a sudden, guess what? If you're hiring somebody, Brian, let's say you're looking at somebody's resume, okay, and I'm like, hey, I'd like to be hired, and you're like, okay, great, and you look at their work resume, and in the last 2 years, they've got 8 jobs.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
That they can't stick with anything.
Yeah, they can't stick.
So definitely not going to stick here.
And that's right. That's right. And why they leave, I don't know, and I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
It was either your fault, but there can't be like 8 bosses who all are bad. So what's the common denominator? You.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had that happen with the teenager that I was talking to, and they were talking about a job that they had lost. It was based on like their boss had asked them they were scheduled to come in, and then there was something they wanted to do, and so they just didn't end up coming in, and then they lost the job, and then they were upset about it. And the lesson, I was like, you should thank them, like seriously.
Yeah.
And your next, you know what, you're probably not going to go back there. It's probably not going to happen. But for your next job, understand that that's the adult world. That's how it works. Like, you don't just get to leave because you wanted to. Because
that's so good. I just thought of like, and this is going back to maturity. The only win for that person that you're talking about, and it's sort of like, it's almost an impossibility for someone at that age to have this kind of maturity, but the only win would be to either email or write a letter that says exactly that. That says, thank you, you were right, I didn't see it, didn't understand it, I'm going to take this lesson with me. I really appreciate your guidance, I appreciate this job, I was clearly taking it for granted, and I was being immature in this moment when I didn't come in. I am going to move forward, but I just wanted you to know that I got the lesson and I appreciate it. That would be a win, because guess what? 5 years from now, if that boss that they had who fired them was in a new position, that boss might rehire you if you reapplied someplace, or would definitely give you a good recommendation someplace else.
totally.
You know, but
100%.
and that's finishing strong, even in the face of adversity.
Yep.
That's great advice, dude. You are quite the mentor, Brian Sweeney.
Thank you. Finish
All right,
strong.
we are going to go to a commercial break here. When we come back, we're going to be talking about powering through, doing just that one more rep. Got to power through.
Monica Fogelson, and wrapping up this masterclass session, it was my first one, and I just have so much gratitude, like more than I can even express. Like, I have gratitude for the teachers, I have gratitude for this whole studio, for the students in the class, for my scene partner, for Matt, and the craft itself, which I just was able to see so beautifully and so raw and vulnerable in not just myself, but everybody else. And it just has been such an amazing experience, and I'm so grateful and excited for everything to come.
Comedy Live with Nick Mulata, Corinne Freeze, Isabel Ramirez, Dakota George, Truman Hendricks, Astrid Gabriel, Saya Luke, and Vicky Sweeney. Live from Phoenix, Arizona, it's Saturday night.
The thing is, people attract what they put out there. So the fact that you're generous in that way, you will receive it back in extraordinary measures in ways that you wouldn't imagine. And sometimes you give in one way and you get back in love, and not even from the people you gave to. It's like comes from another channel, you know? And so that's just the law of life. So you're on the right track.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And I've heard that a lot of people sometimes are like, oh, I kind of do this, and then good karma will come my way. I'm like, I don't care about good karma.
It's not about that.
Yeah, it's I want to do this because I want to help you.
That's
I literally don't want you to give me anything back. I'm doing this because I'm like, just let me help you, and then help you, and then just like I don't even expect a thanks or like a high five or anything. I'm just like, cool, man, as long as you're good at the end of the day.
You can't expect anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you do, you don't get it.
Alrighty, we got to power through. What does it take to do that one more rep? Here's the deal. When we are working out, and in all of life we're working out, we want to be getting stronger. Don't you think, Joey?
Yeah.
We were just talking about this yesterday. You were talking about you want to put on some more weight.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think you want to put on more muscle.
That you did say that.
You know?
Yeah.
Because truthfully, because I like my question is why? Like, why do you want to put on more weight? And I want to make sure that we're clear on this, because I've been mentioning this to you many times, but from my perspective, from a third party perspective, when I look at you, you continue to mature and to become more of a man. You may not ever be super tall, but to me, you look strong. Like, and you look like you continue to get stronger.
Sure.
And you know, sometimes you run outside to catch the football with the shirt off and stuff, and you look muscular, you know, like you've got a good frame. So then you're like, I want to put on weight, and I'm like, no. Again, going back to like, be careful what you mention, because you used to have a lot of weight on you when you were having to take steroids and different things.
Yeah.
So it depends on what kind of weight we're talking about.
No, 100p. No, I mean, it's a fear thing. I stepped on a scale and I was like, 105. That is low. That is very low for me.
Got it.
Because I've been around 115, 110-ish. So I was like, I don't know why I'm losing weight. I'm probably not eating enough.
And you know, and that's fair. You know, maybe recently we've been throwing the football more.
Yeah.
You know, you've been running more.
I mean, that's facts.
And so there you go. So just make sure. God bless you, Brian, and really God bless everybody. So then that goes back to experimentation. It's like, hey, I like running. I like catching footballs. I like working out. I better make sure that I add an extra meal in.
Yeah.
Or I add an extra, 250, 300 calories per meal. And that's just you being smart and tracking.
Yeah.
Your nutrition.
Facts.
All right. So here's a good quote here from Robin Sharma. She says, starting strong is good. Finishing strong is epic.
That's awesome.
I like that one. Starting strong is good. Finishing strong is epic. And when I saw that quote, I thought immediately of Tom Brady's last Super Bowl. It was, I believe, the most epic comeback in Super Bowl history. The Patriots were down. Everybody thought, oh, finally they're going to lose. It might have been 4 or 5 touchdowns, something crazy in the second half. Like really, if you looked at it, it was an impossibility that they were going to win at that point. And yet they come back, and you just see this guy on the sideline, and he never quit. And as the leader of the team, because he never quit and he believed, everyone else was like, all right, Tom, we'll give you our all. And then all of a
Alright,
sudden,
Tom.
now they're within 3 touchdowns. And you see him going, what'd I tell you? And he's like angry about it. And they're like, okay, Tom, like we'll do it. And then they're within 1 touchdown. And they're like, you were right, Tom. Let's do it. and they won the game. And it's like now, epic. Epic.
Yeah.
And so you probably know, Joey, because you're more of a fan. But I don't even know who the other quarterback was.
Matt Ryan. But this is also, I was just going to point this out, this isn't his most recent Super Bowl. This is his second most recent.
There you
Because in
go.
his most recent Super Bowl, he got beat by Nick Foles, and I loved it.
Okay, so it was his most recent Super Bowl win then.
Yeah, there you go.
And but it was
And
it was the biggest, most epic comeback in Super Bowl history.
Yeah, absolutely. It was unheard of, you
Yeah.
know, and there's still memes about it.
There you go.
Because the Falcons choked. They did. They
or
just-
Tom Brady finished strong and they didn't, right? I mean, that's really what it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was Falcons. Matt Ryan. I mean, no one's talking about the epicness of Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's because they choke a lot.
Yeah,
It's exactly that. And that's kind of the definition of choking as like a team is, you know, there's a lot of teams that go out and light it up in the first half, but there's still another half.
right.
You got to show up. You can't just like, oh, we're sitting on this 28-point lead, because I can't tell you how many times in the last 2 seasons they've blown a 28-point lead.
Yeah,
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Because they do. They have the pieces on offense to go light it up in the first half, but they have to come back for the second half. And there's a lot of teams like that.
Well,
sure.
and in that kind of sport, obviously, like at the end, it's a you don't do that, and you totally lose, right? Because the other team flies. And then there's in like a lot of regular life formats, there's you do that, and you're just finishing good, not great. So like that's why I like the word epic there, like finishing, because to finish really strong to that one more rep might necessarily mean you could have finished and it still would have been good, but you know that like you have a little bit left in you to take it next level,
right.
like you do in the gym or that kind of setting. So yeah,
And I purposely put this on here saying power through. That's something I wrote on the whiteboard the other night, because it was a long day and there were 2 things I really wanted to get done by the end of the day, and I wrote up there power through. I talked to myself. I was like power through, and the point was like there's always going to be a time when you want to quit. There's always a time when you want to quit. And I believe that right on the other side of that is when you see exponential growth.
Facts.
Right on the other side of that moment is when you do extraordinary things, because almost anybody can do up to the point that they want to quit.
Yeah.
So if you look at your competition, just know that whatever you're doing, they can do it too. Up until the point that you want to quit. And then after that, there's only a few people that keep going. And so if you're one of those people, you will rise above everybody else in whatever your sport or your thing or your job or acting, it doesn't matter. If you continue to push past that place, you're in a very, very small company.
absolutely.
And that's why I say I don't care what your skill level is as an actor. I could care less. I care about, do you have that thing? And when I see that thing in somebody, I go, well, as long as you decide this is what you want to do and you maintain that attitude for life, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I don't know when, but you'll win. You'll be better. You'll have more skill than everybody who has more skill than you now, because you have that particular type of attitude.
Yeah, it's that. I'll say this to students a lot. Like, I don't know when it's gonna happen, but if you're doing that, then it will happen.
Yeah.
It will. It's a guarantee, and that goes into just like falling in love with the process of the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's which we talk about a lot.
It goes back to blind faith too. You know,
Yeah.
you trust that the things you're doing, you know, you can feel it like, oh, this is good. This is going to set me up. But especially in an industry like ours, like you're never going to get a guarantee ever. So like, don't expect one. That's so silly.
Right.
You know, Brian and I watched the show SWAT. It's fairly new. It's pretty good. But the lead guy in it was in Criminal Minds for the longest time. And Brian knew it. I didn't. And I used to watch that show all the time. But it's because he came in and he was clearly working on his craft.
Sure.
And so he got this lead role, went off the show that he was known for, and he has a totally different demeanor about him.
Interesting.
You know, and it's fun to watch actors like that because I like it if I can't recognize you
Yeah.
from one piece to another.
Sure.
That means you did your job. Right? Otherwise, you're just you in every part, and there's certain actors that are that way that are hilarious. But eventually, it's like, how many movies we gonna cast this guy in where he's the same thing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you become typecast, then you kind of ride that out for a while, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we've seen it. It's you, same character, same twist. Just now you're a cop, and the last time you were a security guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And I'll throw out another name. Steve Carell's one of those.
Yeah,
You know, he's
Big time.
hilarious, so funny, plays comedy, but also is one of the few actors that plays drama really well too. And people didn't even know that. And then he drops these TV shows and movies that are not comedic, and everybody's like, "Why aren't you making me laugh?"
if I can actually rebut you here,
Do it.
I think Steve Carell is excellent at comedy, and I don't think he's excellent at drama. I think he's good.
Yeah.
But I commend him for doing the dramas because he's getting good. He's getting better.
Sure.
And that's the problem, is a lot of comedic actors will not put themselves out there because they know they're going to be scrutinized.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell's the same way. Will Ferrell did that movie that we were a part of.
Everything Must Go.
Everything Must Go. That was a movie about an alcoholic. That was a movie. It's not funny. It's not supposed to be funny. And yet, you know, I'm in a Will Ferrell movie, and everyone's like, that's a downer.
Yeah.
You know, and he's fine in it. He's fine. He's not great. He's not Daniel Day-Lewis. Mm-hmm. Okay. Other actors could play the part better, truthfully.
Yeah.
But this is Will Ferrell working on his craft, doing something that honestly, probably he knows is never going to go anywhere, never going to be like a big hit success something. But this is, back to your point, working on your craft, working on like doing the thing that it takes to get better. And you'll never become a good dramatic actor unless you do some dramas.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is I feel like actors like that, right, who have already made it, already been experienced in the industry, I didn't hate that movie. You know, you're right. It wasn't one of his best. A lot of people did. I didn't. You know,
What movie?
Everything Must Go.
I didn't say you should hate it. I didn't say it was terrible. Yeah, I'm not saying
Yeah,
that.
no, I know, but that's like that's the picture that a lot of people get. It's like he's not doing his thing. This
Sure.
isn't as good of a movie. Well, it actually is if you're willing to put aside like Will Ferrell's not going to be regular him in this, like he's challenging himself, like you said. But there was a lot of good things about that movie.
Yeah, but
You know.
so I look at an actor like you know, I don't know, Tom Hanks, or like I said, Daniel Day-Lewis, or you know, Meryl Streep, or you know, people who are very known for those dramatic roles. You know, Tim Robbins, people like that. And if you put one of them in Everything Must Go, the movie's better. It's better
Yeah,
than Will Ferrell being in the movie.
sure.
It wasn't about that for Will Ferrell. That's my point. And
Yeah.
I agree. It's not a bad movie. It's not a terrible movie. It's not like, oh, I can't watch it movie.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm just saying, just because he did the movie doesn't mean that he's a good dramatic actor.
Sure.
But I am willing to commend him because he did it. He finished it to the end. And he's willing to take whatever criticism comes his way because it's not about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he could do another Anchorman 7, you know, with his eyes closed, and it's probably going to be funny, you know, and people are going to watch it. But is that making him grow? Is that really expanding who he is as an artist?
Yeah.
And probably not.
Yeah.
Probably just like that's the same old, same old.
Facts.
Absolutely.
Baxter! I had to do it. You said Anchorman.
So this gets us to that place. Okay, this is the end of this segment here, but it takes us to this place of what is your particular mental attitude when it comes to that time when things get tough. And there, like I said, there's a select few people who can rip through the muscle, because you got to rip the muscle, and then the muscle's got to heal. That's the only way to grow. That's the only way to build muscle. This is facts. If you don't push yourself to the place where the muscle actually rips, it's the healing process that makes it bigger. That's how it is. That's science. Okay, so life is the same way. So most of us, and I would just venture to say all of us, every person has that quitting point, which is why coaches exist.
Yeah, facts.
That is why you have a physical trainer. That is why you have an acting coach. That is why the people who are the best of the best in acting will still have an acting coach, because they need someone to push them through those pain points.
Yeah.
I don't care how good you are. There's a time when you want to quit, and that's what a coach does. A coach is going to go, no, you're not going to quit. One more rep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you do the one more rep, depending on how good you do, they're like, oh, looks like you had a little more energy in you. Actually, 2 more reps.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I hate you. But then when you're done, you're like, thanks, coach.
Yeah.
Yep.
It goes, we got a student, Jared, and he's been here for what, a year or two,
Jared
right?
Mishloff.
And owns Altered Athletics, is a personal trainer, right? He showed up to our place. He didn't want to be an actor. He just heard about the personal development, and was like, yes. And then he kept diving in, and he was on the troop, and he was here 3 times a week, and all these things. Why? He's already a coach because of what you said, because Brian helped him out, right? And pushed him through those points where he wanted to quit as a business owner because it's hard.
This is a great time, Joey, for a little segment that we like to call Brian Sweeney's shameless plugs. Can we hit that?
Yeah.
It's time now for Brian Sweeney's shameless plugs.
Shameless plug.
Weird.
There's Zan.
That was really weird.
Yo, Matt. What's up? There, it was on you. That's what I was doing.
Go, baby, go.
We got acting is my day job, 7 strategies to market and make money as an actor and or as anything else. If you substitute the word actor for whatever the heck you do, you can get it on Amazon. We got a show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at lighthousetheater.org, and or you can get them on Eventbrite. You can find them basically online. Come see the show tonight. If you can't make it, there is a YouTube link you can check out and watch us live and donate through that so that you can help support our theater here. As a side plug, since Joey already mentioned it, we've got a student here, Jared Mishlove, who does Altered Athletics. You can check that out on Instagram and see some of the stuff he's got going on as well and help all of us finish strong.
Good job, Brian. That was a great plug. And I'm gonna sit on Jared for 1 second, because I'm gonna tie this into our segue into our next bit here.
Yeah, he'll probably do a rep while you sit on him.
He's currently doing squats.
Yeah.
So here's what's interesting. Okay, we put something out about that you can advertise on the show. It's something that we're like, hey, Joey, make a commercial for you. And Jared immediately was like, I'll do it. I'd love to do it. And we haven't finished that process yet. But he's like, yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
Jared, the last few weeks, I've noticed he wasn't here in class. And Joey's like, yeah, he did communicate with me about that. He said he still wants to pay. He's going to try to be here. He's starting up the new gym, and sometimes he's going to get pulled over there. But he needs to have this available to him because of what it does for him mentally. So he wants to contribute to the studio, have it available to him and ready to go, and that's just something he wants to be a part of his life. Okay, yeah, love that. Then if I look back truthfully, Jared is one of the most outspoken fans of this place because of what we've done for him. He's willing to admit that this place has helped shape his mind to the place that he's seeing more success because of it. And what has he done? He has brought in a ton of clients, a ton of referrals have become students here. Why? Because he believes that if it did that for him, it's going to do that for his clients, and he wants the best for his clients.
Yeah.
Okay. What has that attitude of his done for him? There's nobody else we recommend.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
This is
Right?
facts.
It's like he owns a gym. He's a physical trainer. he's gotten a ton of clients from us, but I don't believe, at least it doesn't come across, that that's why he does what he does. You know?
No.
And here we are. We offered commercials. We're giving him a free commercial,
Facts.
a long one. Why? Because of his mental attitude toward giving. His
Yep.
mental attitude toward finishing strong, being willing to commit, stay committed, even when he can't be here, stay committed.
Yeah.
So it is Altered Athletics. Is this the new gym? It's called that.
That's his brand. Yeah.
His brand is Altered Athletics.
Yep.
I love that. And I know that there are plenty of our students who have benefited from Jared and benefited from Altered Athletics. So
Oh, yeah.
if you are watching right now and you're one of those people, give Jared a shout out.
And it's altered_athletics if you're looking it up on Instagram.
Yeah, give him a shout out. I think this is always nice to do. Give some love to the people that take care of you. So I think it'd be a great day for you to tag back to the studio, say, Jared, saw you on the show this morning. Love what you do. Thank you for doing what you do. We love you. Something like that. And just give him some love today. Pour into Jared's Instagram. I think that would be awesome. All right, so we are now going to go to a commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to talk about making a good last and a lasting impression.
Monica Fogelson, and wrapping up this masterclass session, it was my first one, and I just have so much gratitude, like more than I can even express. Like, I have gratitude for the teachers, I have gratitude for this whole studio, for the students in the class, for my scene partner, for Matt, and the craft itself, which I just was able to see so beautifully and so raw and vulnerable in not just myself, but everybody else. And it just has been such an amazing experience. And I'm so grateful and excited for everything to come.
It's Chaos Comedy Live with Nick Mulata, Corinne Freeze, Isabel Ramirez, Dakota George, Truman Hendricks, Astrid Gabriel, Saya Luke, and Vicky Sweeney. Live from Phoenix, Arizona, it's Saturday night.
The thing is, people attract what they put out there. So the fact that you're generous in that way, you will receive it back in extraordinary measures in ways that you wouldn't imagine. And sometimes you give in one way and you get back in love, and not even from the people you gave to. It's like comes from another channel, you know? And so that's just the law of life. So you're on the right track.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And I've heard that a lot of people sometimes are like, oh, I kind of do this, and then good karma will come my way. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't care about good karma.
It's not about that.
Yeah, it's
not-
I want to do this because I want to help you.
That's right.
I literally don't want you to give me anything back. I'm doing this because I'm like, just let me help you, and then help you, and then just like I don't even expect a thanks or like a high five or anything. I'm just like, cool, man, as long as you're good at the end of the day.
You can't expect anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you do, you don't get it.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna talk about the end here. Okay, how to make a good last and lasting impression.
It's
And
the end.
Your titles are just so good.
thanks,
They're so
dude.
great.
Thanks. It just comes to me. But yeah, it did. It hit me this morning. Make a good last impression, cool. But a lasting impression. Something that stays, something that sticks. You know? And I know you guys could agree with me here. There are students that we've had come through that they made a lasting impression.
Yep.
And what's interesting is I said make a good last impression, or lasting impression. There are also students who have left a bad lasting impression.
Totally.
Or a bad last impression. And I'm sure that I have left a bad impression at some point in time, or a bad lasting impression. And that's why this idea of finishing strong is so very, 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 very important. Okay. I'm going to dive into a couple quotes here. There's a great one from David Goggins. He says, "I'm different than most people. When I cross the finish line of a big race, I see that people are ecstatic, but I'm thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow. It's as if my journey is everlasting and there is no finish line." So I just talked about that, the run and the feel, like how good it feels, right? Mm-hmm. And this guy's going, I watch everybody else celebrate, and then I start while they're celebrating, I'm already planning my training routine for next time.
But unlike yesterday, you're not picking back up the seed afterwards. You're leaving it in there, right?
Yeah.
You're leaving it in the ground to grow.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. That's exactly right. Good job, Joe.
You leave it at the finish line, and then you just let it grow
Yeah. Okay.
for the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, good. This next quote is Julian Smith says, "No one has a problem with the first mile of a journey. Even an infant can do fine for a while, but it isn't the start that matters. It's the finish line."
I can run the mile.
For sure. So it's basically like anybody can start something,
Yeah.
right? You know, we take up a new instrument. We take up whatever it is. Anybody can start. And so are you one of those people who has started 100 things, or are you somebody who has finished 3?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to put our focus right now, is going, okay, how do we finish strong in a few things instead of being a starter in everything?
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's great. And you see that even in the beginning process of like if we go to running again or whatever, like somebody starts super fast, right? And we would see this in that world where like somebody was like going at like full speed in the beginning, and you lap them. Like,
Yeah.
You finish, and they're some of the ones that end up in the back and or like the middle, like, but you pass them because they used all this energy on something and they didn't commit to like the whole process of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people do this too, where they give everything they have. They start off really fast. They give all their energy. And a lot of times it's like, because what happens at the beginning of a race? Where is everybody?
On the like rows and the lines to go out.
They're all at the same place. They're all together.
Yeah.
There's a crowd. Everybody can see you. So because you're being seen, and because it's fresh, and because it's new, you run, you start, and you're like, look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me, everybody. But what do you do when nobody's watching? When nobody's around? And are you giving your all, or are you getting lazy? And a lot of times that's what happens. We just get lazy. We run out of energy and we get lazy. Okay, and unfortunately, the truth is people remember the end. They remember how you finished. And this particular concept right here, this is one of the biggest things that I strive to impart on people when they come to work here. I always want to help people learn how to finish strong, so that when they leave here, if they leave here and they go someplace else, this is a skill set that they have. It's important to me. And so I'd like to talk about, the connecting into this, going the extra mile. When somebody goes and does a little bit extra, the extra mile is exactly what David Goggins just said. The race is 5 miles. I run the 5 miles, and one person goes the extra mile. That's what an extra mile is. An extra mile is like everyone does the race. Who continues to run? Michael Jordan continues to run. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's who continues to run when the race is over. Tom Brady continues to run. Like there are very select few people who are like, okay, when the race is done, whatever we had to do, now I do more. Whatever that thing is. And it's a skill set that can be developed to think this way and be this way. It's not just like you are that person.
Yeah.
It's you learn how to be that person and how to make a difference in a particular way. So I'm gonna use Dakota George right now as an example. And speaking of Dakota George,
Did you say steak?
Ah, so cool that you
he's got
recorded
his own
that.
he's got his own sound effect now. And so he started interning here. And we kind of put him through the nines like we normally do when somebody applies.
And we can't talk about it.
No, we
because
can't
it's
talk
very
about it.
top secret.
Yeah.
And we brought him on. And the truth is, I'm going to be very honest with you, Dakota, if you watch this, that we had our questions about you.
Yeah.
About your dedication and this and that and whatever, but you had the heart, and we believed that we were going to give this a shot, right? And there's been ups and downs, Dakota, truthfully. And there were times that we caught you maybe wanting to look for the shiny thing, wanting to move on to the next thing, wanting to like not stay consistent and steady and loyal, right? And yet we stayed persistent in our pursuits. We stayed persistent in our teachings of this philosophy. And over time, I can tell you that he has adapted it and become less sporadic and less like, oh, I want to go do this, I don't want to go do that, I want to do this right away. But just sort of like, I'm going to just be. And he's become a steady force for us. Something that we can rely upon. Something
Yeah.
that has become a gift. Somebody who communicates. Somebody who's not trying to get attention anymore.
Yeah.
And this thing happened just the other day where I forgot that he was going to come in, or I didn't know he was going to come in or whatever. And he texts, he's like, I'll be in to clean the studio. And this was on a Thursday. There's no in-person classes here on Thursdays, and he knows that. But he was going to clean up and make the place look beautiful because there was in-person classes the day before. And that was a part of the internship that he has brought on and a part of the thing that he has learned to do very well. Well, he shows up with bags full of cleaning supplies that he purchased with his money. And he said, I bought the Pine Sol because I'm sick of smelling vinegar. He doesn't like the smell of vinegar. I don't like the smell of Pine Sol.
I don't like vinegar, so I'm on that boat.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's like thinking to himself, well, if I don't like the smell of vinegar, maybe other people don't too. And maybe you guys are out of this particular cleaning supply. And so I'm gonna do this. He did this, and he bought several different cleaning supplies. He just bought it on his own. And he stayed. He cleaned. He cleaned well. Anything else I can help with? He's always looking for ways he can make our lives easier and more joyful, etc. And so we do that, and then Joey's like, hey, we got the voiceover coming up for this this chaos comedy deal. And he's like, who do you want to do it? I was thinking maybe Dakota. And I was like, Joey, truth be told, I wanted to do that voiceover. I thought it'd be fun. I love the SNL voice. Like I thought it would be a lot of fun to do it. I actually wanted to do it personally. But I was like, Dakota's been going above and beyond. I want to give this to him. Let's do that. I want Dakota to have the job. Let's call him. If he's if he wants to do it, let's give it to Dakota. So Joey does that. He calls him. So he comes in last night and records, but before the chaos show or rehearsal. I'm sorry, before the chaos rehearsal. And Joey mentioned something. He's like, we were listening to it. And he's like, he really did do a good job. And I was like, yeah, he did. But he went the extra mile actually, because he even mentioned this. He was here for 2.5 hours to record that. I gave notes. Joey gave notes. Joey was willing to come back in. You know what it takes for Joey. Like Joey went the extra mile because it's not fun to come in and re-record somebody. All Joey's doing is making Dakota look good. It was good enough many takes ago.
You're right, yeah.
Right? And I even joked around, and you and I laughed because we know how we feel around here. I was like, well, it's good enough, Dakota.
yeah.
And we're like, okay, we'll see if we've planted the seed in Dakota. He's like, well, good enough's not enough. Like, if it's good enough. We got to redo it. Like, what's wrong? And so then, and it got better, and it got better, and it got better. And it's like, it's really neat now. Wherever it's at, it doesn't really matter because it's not about the result, but it's about the idea of going the extra mile now and what you get. And now Dakota,
Did you say steak?
literally has his own sound effect
Yeah.
on our show because of him going the extra mile in something as small as cleaning. What did that cost him? $10?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the other thing is he has a sound effect, not because we were in here, because when we were done, he was like, is there anything else I can record?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I don't think so. And then I peed. And then I came out of the bathroom and I was like, you know what? I have an idea.
Well,
I was like, I'm going to take your statement and put it on
totally
a
thought that it
soundboard.
was about the thing because that's what he was asking about. So like he thought he had another idea to like do another voice a certain way or something like that. And then Joey brought him in here and did the button, and it was just like it was so cool to see that like light up face, like
Yeah,
that
it was fun.
surprise of like a button.
And
you know?
and I don't sugarcoat things. You guys know that. So I'll reverse this on Dakota for 1 second. There were times when he didn't have this selfless attitude. He learned it through the job. He learned it through the internship. He learned it from soaking it up. He wanted it and he learned it, but he had to adapt. He used to ask me after class, hey, so I was going to go. Is there anything else I can do before I go? Which is what he's really saying is, can I go and not do anything else?
Yeah.
And I would joke about it. I was like, if you ever ask me that, I'm going to give you something to do. So don't ask me that. If you want to go, ask to go. Right? Don't try to hide it under like, oh, I'm trying to be helpful, but really, can you please make me feel better about leaving?
Yeah.
Right? He used to do that to me all the time. And I had to teach that, right? Because I'm like, what's the lasting impression that you're making? And I've done this with Joey a couple times too, where I'm like, it doesn't matter that you worked super hard all week. It doesn't matter that you had a great day. If you end your day lazy or as a jerk, or you do something bad at the end, it's like you still did something bad at the end. And I'll compliment all the good you did, but the good doesn't erase the end. And so be careful, because the end is what people remember.
Yeah.
Right? That lasting impression. So Dakota, in this particular case, and it's a small thing, but this is something that's been adding up and adding up and adding up and adding. And it wasn't the fact that he spent $10, but it was like there's sometimes you do a special something, and it leaves a lasting impression upon you. And it's like all of a sudden, when you think of that person, there's something that's like it's lasting. You know, like I remember that gesture. I remember how you finished in such a way that was so strong that it's like I have an impression of you and who you are for forever. And people are going to have that for good or for bad.
Totally.
Right?
Big facts.
So good job, Dakota Banana.
Thank you for being our example.
Good job, Dakota Banana.
Yes.
Did you say steak?
I did say steak, Dakota. I did. And you know what? You the man. All right. So that's our show, guys. Finish strong. Please, in life, finish strong. It's going to hook you up. Make sure that you are doing what you got to do. Don't quit no matter what. And then get a coach. Because you got to do that extra rep. You got to do that last push in order to get stronger. And then strive to leave a good last impression and a good lasting impression. Something that's just going to stick in people's minds for a long time, because you never know when you're going to need that person again. All right. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.
Have a chippy day, everyone. Rough.